Alright, so this is where we left off in the previous lesson, which is we made like a basic patch of grass. So what we're going to do in this one is we'll take a look at how to separate this into say large grass and small grass, and then further separate the small grass into a few more types of plants. So what we'll do to begin with is we'll create two smaller plant structures. Okay, so we're going to make we'll make like really tiny flowers. I won't make this. Okay, I'm just talking about the shape of the flower, and then we'll make some clover. Okay, so we'll do like those two, and then we'll use those to sort of scatter it on the ground. So to get started, I'll make everything in here itself. Alright, so the first thing we'll do is we'll create a line, and this basic design is we're going to end up using this a lot. Okay, so the idea is we'll create a line, we'll give it a bend, and we can just set the bend of the up vector, we can set it to y-axis. Okay, and we'll set the capture direction to the y-axis as well. Okay, so you get like a basic line that bends. Then we'll also copy paste the length into the capture length. So paste relative reference. The size doesn't matter right now. We'll scale it down later to match it to what we want. Okay, then the next thing we want is I want to take an orient along curve so that we'll be able to like orient it in the direction that we want. Okay, so this is fine. And then lastly, we want to be able to copy the flower or the clover on the top point. So just take a range node. So take a group by range, and we'll call it top. Set the end value to 1 and set this to point, and then do invert and see. So that selects the top point. So this setup is something that we'll end up using a lot. Okay, because you'll use this for the clover, you'll use this for the flower, like whatever stem that you're making, you'll end up using this. Okay, so now let's make the clover. Okay, so what you can do is rather than try and model it from scratch, if you have the lab tools installed, just type in leaf and you'll get something called as lab tree simple leaf. Okay, so this is pretty neat because it gives you like a basic leaf design that you want. Okay, so what I'm going to do is let's just come to here. I'm going to turn off this show UV map option. Let's make the background lighter. So you want to do a couple of things. Like firstly, I don't want it to bend, so we can probably just lower the bend or lessen the bend. Then the second option is like it has two types. I don't know, hold on a second, let's just make this dark again. Okay, yeah, so it has two types. It has this shape and it has this one, and this is the one that we want. Okay, so what we do is I'll just keep it like this. Yeah, see, so you'll get this as a shape, and then just increase it. See, so it gives you like a basic design like that. Okay, then just take the width and make it really big and get the length to be like small. Okay, so this will give you like a basic shape that we want. Yeah, there you go. So it's not exactly what we want, but see, there it is. There's your basic shape. And then you can take the length segments and kind of increase it, and see, so that gives you like a a basic shape like that. We can also increase the width segments if we want, because what you can do is you have the option to fold it. So it's flat right now, but if you come into shape and you can sort of increase the folding amount. Yeah, like if I increase this a lot, see, there you go. So you can kind of fold it. So we don't want that much. Let's make it 0.05. Yeah, so that will look nice. And then we can bend it a little bit if you want. So don't increase the segment count too much because it's going to be really tiny. So because if the more you increase it, the heavier your scene is going to get. Okay, and then we'll just give it basic coloring. So I'm going to take this and so this is the top color and this is like the stem color. Yeah, what we can also try to do is let's see if this works. Let's take a group and I want to try and select like the middle line. Okay, let's see if we can do that. So I'll take, we'll call it E. Let's call it edge. Okay, and we'll turn on include by edges and turn on unshared edges. Set it to points and then take an expand. So you'll get a group expand. And keep this to points. The base group is edge. See, so we'll get this. Okay. And this should be nice because even if we increase the number of line segments, see, this remains. So it's not bad. And then take a combine, a group combine, and we'll call this mid is, let's call this edge A. And we can say group, like mid is equals all but edge A. And so you'll get the center line. Okay. And then what you can do with this is I can take a color node and I should be able to color the middle line. So pick up mid, there you go. Okay, and we can give it like a green or something. And if you feel like it's too harsh in the middle or something, you can take a blur. So we can take an attribute blur and I can just blur this a little bit. Blur the color. Yeah, there you go. See, so we can sort of like, yeah, you can blur this. So it gives you a little more control. And you can also, like, if you want, you can try to also, we can color the edges as well because we have that selection. So I can just take this and select, keep it to edge. See, and maybe make this slightly sort of greenish as well. Anyways, you have options, like you have like a little more control over this thing now. Okay, so this is fine. Yeah, okay. And then take a copy transform. And usually it's 3. So we'll just take a copy and transform. And what you want to do is just take the number of copies, like copy parameter, come to rotate y-axis, base relative reference, and do 360 divided by number of copies. And we'll make like, 3 of them. There you go. Okay. And then if you want, we can take an axis align, the labs axis align, and hold on, not match size, labs axis align. Yeah. And what you want to do is come down here and in the Z axis, like it is currently in the middle. Okay. So we want to push towards the outside. So take the justify Z and make it minimum. Okay. And this should give me, see, there you go. So we have like, a clover. Okay. Like, and if you want, we can just take this and we can increase the width and that should give me like a better result. See, there you go. If you want, like on top of this, we can take like a taper or something and then, use that. Like I can take a linear taper over here. Like, because if I wanted to like, really expand outwards like that. Yeah. And let's just try to sort of taper it. There you go. See. So you can do that. Like you can do a squish here and, expand it out. You can set it to smooth. So yeah, there you go. Okay. And then if we want, we can also take a transform here and maybe rotate it slightly. So it's, it kind of doesn't, intersect. It looks a little better. Okay. So that's it. I don't know if the taper is a good idea. Hold on. Yeah, I think this is better. Okay. And now what we want to do is we want to copy all of this on the top over here. So just take a copy to points. We'll call this top. Put a transform here because we will have to scale it down a little. And there you go. Okay, so what we need to do is, let me just check this. Okay, come into orient along curve, come to your additional rotations, and we'll have to sort of, adjust this. Yeah, I can never figure out which one I'm supposed to do. Yeah, I think minus 90 is good. There you go. Yeah, so this is fine. This looks nice. If you want, you can reverse it as well, but I think minus 90 is fine. And so we can bend it as much as we want. Yeah, okay, so if this flipping is happening, okay, that's because it's default, it's the direction is set in the orient is set to like the curve normal. You can change it to Z axis, and what that does is it sort of stops the flipping. Okay, so this is it. This is the basic, Clover. And what I can do is I can just take this, and let me just see if I can find, these guys. How small is this? And how big is this guy? Yeah, okay, so this is huge. Okay, so what I want to do is, first of all, I want to take a transform, and I want to, we need to do a couple of things here. We need to give this a sweep as well, and set this to round tube, and lower the size, take on apply curve, and we can lower this. And we can also do a resample here and do a curve view, like turn off segment length and turn on curve view. You can drop it in the middle. You can plug it in both, it's not really required, but I just need this for color. So take a color and ramp from attribute, set it to curve view, and then this will be, and we can merge them together. Yeah, there we go. See, so we have like a basic, Clover, and let's scale this down a little bit. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to scatter it over like a circular area. So I can just take a circle and ZX plane. Let's just see the small one. Yeah, okay. So this circle should be about that big. And so that is how much area will be covered by the clovers. Okay. And then take a scatter, and we need about 10 should be fine. And then take a scatter and a line. We'll again let's take a remesh in the middle, because sometimes like without the remesh there is, we also need to do a reverse, and then turn on the normals, because scatter and a line will require normals. Okay, so just set this to point, and that's it. So we take this, connect both, and say add attributes, and then do a copy to points. Okay, and then firstly we'll take a float here, so attribute just float, and we can set this to set always random. The sweep should be smaller still. And this should also be smaller. There you go. I think that's good. And then I can take the scatter and align, and we can like rotate it around. So like we can rotate a little bit, and then this should be 360. I think this is fine. Maybe I can lower the length of the leaf a little bit. I don't know if this is a good idea or not. I think this looks better. Or, just adjust it a little bit, so that, okay, I think this is fine. In the P scale, I think we should be slightly, like that. Okay, I think this is good. Okay, so this is the basic, setup for clovers. And now let's make a setup for the flower as well. Okay, so I just need, the only difference here will be the flower shape, right? So I'll just take like this. Okay, so what I can do is I can just take, I'll copy paste this. So Control C, Control V. And we'll make a few changes. So first of all, color wise, I think let's make it pink. So, this should be towards pink. I think this is good. Okay, the other thing we want to do is shape wise, I want to kind of like, squeeze it in over there. I think this is fine, or, this is okay. Maybe lower the width, increase the length. Yeah, I think this is okay. Yeah, this is fine. And then take a bend. So give it like a fair bit of bend like that. And then take a transform and rotate it. So we'll take this and just rotate it like that. So I don't think 90 is required, but we'll just go a little bit like this. So let's call this rotation. And then we'll take a transform and give a little bit of a gap here. Okay, and then once you've done that, we can just take, this one. So do Control C, Control V, come in here and paste it. And maybe make it like 5. Yeah, I think this should be fine. Let's also do one thing. If we come in here, yeah, let's just take this transform and, this one. Yeah, you can sort of like, open it up and close it, but we can also just twist it slightly. So they kind of don't overlap. It looks a little bit better. But there you go. See, so that looks nice. Okay, so this is fine. Is there some green in there? Yeah, hold on. Change this. Okay, so this is fine. And maybe also just take a sphere. Like a really tiny one. Just as a base, So there's something down there. And we'll give it a color. So I can make it yellow as well. So I can merge these two together. And then we'll take all of this and copy it. So do Control C, Control V. Put a transform here. So it should pretty much just work. Oh, okay. So just, adjust the reorient. Yeah, make this 90. Yeah, there we go. See, so this is fine. We can make a few changes. So I can scatter this around a little. Yeah, maybe increase the count here. You don't need to actually, because we're going to scatter like a ton of them, so it'll be fine. But yeah, there you go. So you have like, flowers and clovers. So now comes the big part, which is firstly, let's pack this. So this and that. And what I want to do here is like we have this. And what we would like to do is, let's say I want to sort of break up the points based on, large values and small values. Okay, so I can just take group by expression in here, before the variant, and let's just see if we can do this. So we'll base it on p-scale. You can base it on a bunch of things. Like we can even just take a simple noise map and base it on that. But in this case, let's base it on p-scale. So this will be our main thing. So if we move this around, like this is a noise map anyways. So if we move this around, then everything will automatically readjust. Okay, so let's just call this as big. Okay, and we'll do at p-scale greater than 0.5 and set this to points, and there you go. Okay. Or let's do 0.3. No, because 0.3 is a bit too much. So 0.4. Yeah, I think this should be fine. Okay, and then what we can do is take a split. So take a split here and set this to big. So what will happen is, see, we have like these. Okay, so the grass here is now only like this much. Okay. And then what I can do with this guy is, let's say firstly I want to bring in the smaller grass. So I can just take this, do Control C, Control V. This will be delete non-selected. Again, enumerate. So this is, Control C, Control V. So we have the small grass here. And from this split, like this is now going to start getting a little complicated. Okay, so just take a copy to points and the variant. Actually, just duplicate this. Control C, Control V. Okay. Because this will also be two numbers. This is also going to be two numbers. Okay, except we take, this one. like the one from the other side. So we are copying to, you know, like all the small stuff, except this comes in here. See, so there you go. So if we merge these two together, see, we get like, you know, big and small. Except maybe if we want, I can take a p scale here. So take a float, and maybe we can just, you know, bump up the p scale value a little bit. Yeah, I think this is okay. I also want to just for fun, what I want to do is I want to take a transform and maybe just squash this a little. Yeah. Okay, so this is fine. But now what we can also do is we can further split this up, because we are going to have to. Because we want to bring in, like, you know, the leaves and the clovers and everything and the flowers. So, you know, on this guy, what I can do is I can take a further noise map. So take yeah, we can take an attribute noise, or take an attribute noise float. Okay, like that should be fine. So take an attribute noise float, and let's just call it let's call it flower. Okay, we're going to need flower and clovers both, but this is like our first setup. So we'll turn on flower so we can see it, and this is good. We'll just do like set, and we can do a remap and just, you know, sort of like remap this like that. And then what I can do is we do the same thing. So take a group expression, and we'll select it based on, let's call this flower as well, okay, or let's call this flowers, and points, and we say at flower less than 0.5. So there you go. So we have this, and then do a split, and the group is called flowers. So flowers. Okay. So we have the grass, which is like this much. So if you look at it, see, we have this gap in the middle. So this is where all the clovers will come in. Okay. And then I can just take, like, let's take these guys and move it, like, you know, towards this side. And the rest is the same. So Control C, Control V. What we can do is, we don't actually need this here. Okay. Let's just do like, let's do Control C, Control V. This comes in here, and that goes in there. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, this is nice. And let's merge this in. See, there you go. So if I look at this, see, so we have some grass, and then we have, like, you know, these guys. Maybe you can further add like a p scale here, so we can do attribute just float, and, you know, we can try to do like a multiply, set this to noise. See, so we can, you know, kind of adjust this. I can lower the noise size. Yeah, maybe just, you know, let's make it 0.2. Yeah, so you can make adjustments like these. Okay. And like, because everything is coming in from this point, like if I take this and let's say I make it 0.6. See, so the big grass, you know, gets lesser, and then you have like the small grass. And then the last setup is the same. Like we can do a couple of things here. Like I can actually, we can try something like this value that is coming in here. We can merge these two together. I take this guy and this guy, like the flower and the clover, and I can do an enumerate here, call it variant. And what I can do here is, let's say we want to spread it out in like a noise fashion. So take an integer. So we'll take an attribute at just integer. This is set to variant, except we'll set always and set it to noise. And we'll set it from 0 to 1, because it's only like these two guys. Okay. And in the copy, I can turn on variant. So if I turn this on, see, there you go. That's what we get. So based on the noise map here, I'm actually getting, see. So I can take this noise map and make it smaller. Let's make it 0.2. Let's offset this. See, there you go. See. Yeah, so we can sort of, move it around and have, so if we look at it now, this is almost done then, see, so you have like, this little thing. Let me just save this. And so if we come into the P scale here and start to offset it, like this noise map, if I start to modify or move it around, see, so everything kind of automatically adjusts. I could probably take this guy and scale it down, like the big grass. Maybe I can scale it down a little bit. It's a little too big, but yeah, there you go. See, so you have, like, maybe this grass shouldn't be that green. I think it's a bit too much. Yeah, let me just adjust that color. Okay, there you go. So instead of 0 to 30, let's make it 0 to 10. Yeah, okay. And we can, I think we'll need a little more points here. So the scatter is, let's make it like 20,000. I also want to expand the circle to 0.25. Yeah, see, so it's starting to like get heavy now. Yeah, so let's do one thing. Let's just come in here and we'll make it like 500 million. So we can see the whole thing. It will slow down a lot. This is not a good idea, but yeah, there you go. See, so now you can see the whole thing. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like if I want to adjust, I can adjust the bend a little bit. So, they don't bend as much. Or maybe like the smaller ones can bend and the bigger ones bend a little bit. So you can kind of adjust, however you want this. Okay, so that's pretty much it. So the next lesson we'll make like taller flowers, but other than that, this file is pretty much done. Okay, so I'll also do a basic setup for karma, which is, there's no setup. I'm just going to import this and it just renders it pretty much the way it is. There's nothing much to do there. Simply because like it treats all of this as instances anyways, so it's not a problem. A few people before I close this, I got a few questions about how you can simulate this. The problem with simulation is these are instances. Okay, so the packed primitives are basically instances. So if you simulate it, then every element has a different animation. So packed primitives is not going to work. Like it'll pack it, but then every single object is going to be its own instance, which is useless. So animating, if you want to animate this, you can. Just make sure you have like a ton of RAM, because you're not instancing anything anymore. Like this was already, you were hitting like 400 million polygons. Well, not that much, but at least 100 million polygons. So if you have enough RAM, you can animate this whole thing, you can apply wind on it or whatever using Vellum. It will work without any problems. Just make sure that you have enough RAM to deal with that. Okay, if you don't, either Houdini is going to crash or your machine is going to catch fire. But that's pretty much it. Okay, so next lesson we'll make some flowers.